Imagine moving into a wealthy neighborhood, the kind with pristine lawns, exclusive cocktail parties, and where your neighbors can sue you for using the wrong roofing material. Sounds like paradise, right? Now imagine waking up one day, pregnant, to find your husband has disappeared and left you a note. Not a romantic one, more like a blog.
I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it and be happy.
Welcome to the New Yorker's 20 Under 40 short story feature, where people's lives unravel faster than you can say HOA regulations. Today we're looking at two very different stories. One explores the quiet disintegration of a family behind suburban fences. The other, the emotional fallout of abandonment in the age of blogging. Let's dive in. Let's start with What You Do Out Here, When You're Alone by Philipp Meyer, a title that already smells like regret and petrol fumes. Meet Max. Max is the best Porsche mechanic in Texas. No exaggeration, maybe even the entire Southwest if he's honest with himself. Business is good. He's good. But happiness? Not so much. He and his wife Lily used to live in Huntsville. Modest home, parties, friends. Lily was the life of the room. Max? He was content with a beer and a transmission to rebuild. A good blue-collar, fix-it-yourself life. Then they moved to Oaksville, where your neighbors own things like tennis courts and lawyers on retainer, where painting your mailbox the wrong shade of white can get you sued, and where Max and Lily no longer fit in. You know things are bad when your wife starts picking out your t-shirts because yours aren't, Oaksville enough. But what really tears Max apart isn't the gated wealth or the HOA dictatorship. It's Lily and the rumors. Apparently, she's been experimenting with other couples, as in other couples. Max isn't sure if it's true, but he is sure about one thing. Things between them are not the same. They still have sex. Even more so, actually, especially after what Max ominously calls the accident.
Oopsie.
This accident involves their son, Harley, a once bright student with dreams of Rice University, 13 years old and already planning college. Then came the move, then the disorientation, then the cocaine, then the therapist. All of it handled carefully by Lily. Max was left in the dark. Their do-it-yourself family had come apart at the seams.
Oh, that's way worse than last year.
Eventually, Max winds up in the hospital, fresh out of a coma. His head literally cracked open, a metaphor maybe for the damage his family has suffered. Lying there, he reflects, how did a simple move from Huntsville to Oaksville destroy everything? And maybe that's the story's central question. Meyer's story isn't loud, it doesn't scream, but it hums with disillusionment. It's not just a story about infidelity or wealth or even teen drug use. It's about the quiet corrosion of identity in the face of upward mobility, about how chasing better zip codes can cost you your soul or your marriage. Max feels emasculated, alienated, and worst of all, powerless. He's stuck somewhere between nostalgia and numbness. You sense that he wants to leave, maybe with his son, maybe with a single woman who seems interested in him, but he doesn't. He just thinks. It's a painful story, but beautifully told. Meyer lifts the veil on suburban affluence and shows us what's rotting underneath. If Meyer's story is about losing your family slowly, Galchen's story is about losing it all in one abrupt blow. The entire northern side was covered with fire, a dramatic title that reads like something out of a biblical plague, but don't worry, it's not apocalyptic. Unless you're Trish. So this story, well, it kicks off with a real mystery. I come home and right away there's just something odd. My place feels, I don't know, lighter somehow. Like someone packed up and left. And turns out someone actually did. My husband, Jonathan. He's just gone, vanished. And all he left behind was a note. Now you'd think that would be the worst of it, right? But nope, it actually gets worse. Because as it turns out, Jonathan had a blog. I can't stand my wife.blogspot.com. Yeah, that's really the name.
I said, what? She said, yeah. I said, no.
Now just imagine this for a second. You're pregnant and you find out the man you thought was loving and attentive has been, publicly posting about how much he can't stand you on Blogspot. That's next level betrayal. And here's the kicker. It was Trisha's brother who found the blog, snooping around on Jonathan's laptop. At first, he thought maybe he'd find porn, but nope, no porn at all. Which, honestly, he found even more suspicious and, well, kind of hilarious in its own way.
Guys, this is what dying feels like. Gonna catch me riding dirty.
Eventually, a friend, David, who may or may not have had a crush on Trish, confirmed it. And yet, no one told her. Because, feelings. Jonathan had also siphoned off money from Trish's account, allegedly for business school. But guess what? He wasn't enrolled anywhere. Jonathan is a ghost in the machine, a fraud, a vanisher, a man who slipped through her fingers like water. And yet Trish still loves him. It's sad, but also a little absurd. A modern tragedy with blog links. Galchen's story flips gender expectations on their heads. Here, it's the woman who's pregnant and abandoned, and the man who plays the mysterious escape artist. It's a tale of emotional manipulation in the digital age, of secret resentments, and just how easy it is to disappear behind a URL. But, it's also about what people don't say. Trish's friends knew. Her brother knew. No one told her. Out of politeness, shame, denial, there's an indictment here of the culture of silence, of avoiding hard truths because it's none of our business. Galchen doesn't moralize, she just shows, and it stings. So why pair these two stories? They're very different in tone, setting, and even style, but read together, they echo. Both stories dissect modern relationships in collapse. Both show us protagonists trying to understand the emotional wreckage left behind. Max lies in a hospital bed, wondering when things fell apart. Trish sits in her apartment, pregnant and confused, clinging to a ghost of love. And maybe most importantly, both stories challenge our living culture, our obsession with appearances, with silence, with moving up. Meyer questions the American dream. Galchen questions modern love. And in both, there's a profound loneliness. As I read one story after the other, I couldn't help but see the thematic thread, how our chosen ways of living, in suburbs, behind screens, behind facades, may be eroding what makes life meaningful. Or maybe I'm just seeing patterns where there are none. That's the magic of literature, isn't it? Both stories come from the New Yorker's special 20 Under 40 fiction issue from June 14th and 21st, 2010. And let me just say, it's one hell of a reading experience. You get stories that are sad, yes, but also sharply observant and deeply human. Stories that leave you with questions, not answers. And those, I think, are the best kind. So if you're in the mood for emotional grenades disguised as fiction, check these out. Philipp Meyer and Rivka Galchen both deliver the kind of writing that lingers long after the last sentence. And if you've read them, or any of the other stories from that issue, let's talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, read something devastating today. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.